TK here, TK and Drinks. Cheers, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Mead Maker Studio, where we explore mead making, talk to mead makers from around the world, and get catch the buzz on some of the best meads around. Thanks for joining me tonight, or if you're joining me in a future that's not tonight, appreciate you popping in. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Miss Lynn from Juniper Meadery. I'm not sure if she's going to have anybody else with her, but I'm definitely excited to get to talk to her. They are down in, oh man, I think it's Pagora, Arkansas. I'll let her tell me what the name of what the name of the town is properly pronounced. And man, I am all sorts of tongue-tied today. It was a busy day at work, and I'm just exhausted. So I'm gonna get into this beer, relax a little bit, get ready to enjoy this Meadery interview. And see, I can't even, like I said, can't even talk. Just get straight into this beer real quick and take the edge off the day. Oh, at least I see everybody popping in. Hey, Aethleen, Tony, Dragon, appreciate you guys. And there's Juniper Tree. Shot through in one connection and one try. Fingers crossed. Please connect us, internet gods. Juniper Tree turned on the video. Oh, are you there? Hello.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I cannot see you,
Not
unfortunately.
at all.
Not at all. I'm going to go ahead and let's try this one more time. Now your video is turned on. Let's see if it doesn't connect us with video the next time.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Not a problem. All right, cool. Thank you. I'm going to try here. All right, here we go. Let's try round two. At least we made a connection. If it goes through this time without video and just audio, you know what? We'll just play with the cards that were dealt. So send a request, invite to Juniper Tree. Here we go. Round two. Hey, appreciate everybody popping in here.
Hey there. You see me now?
Oh, wow. Nope, not seeing you this time, but we'll just go with it anyway. It's not the first time this happens. Instagram is terrible with their connectivity thing sometimes, so I just have to say roll with it and just go with the punches, so to speak. But I appreciate you popping in here today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Len did not manage to put your name in any of the comments or any of our messages, so unfortunately you have me at a disadvantage, sir.
Okay, I'm Lynn Childers. My wife
Oh, you
and I.
are
Yeah,
Lynn.
my wife is Deandra. The two of us own and operate Juniper Tree.
I have to apologize. I so often run into Lynn as a woman instead of a male's name, but I apologize. Thank you for reaching out to me and getting back to me and everything, and setting this all up. I know it's been a few attempts at getting this put together.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up with a girl's name, so I've got two boys, and I named them. I said no gender neutral names for my boys, so I've got a Zachary and I've got a Connor. So
There,
but I'm Lynn.
there you go. You relate to that. Appreciate you joining me today, Lynn. It's been a while that I've been following you, and I kind of feel bad for not having reached out and getting this thing put together sooner. I try to talk to mead makers from all over the world, all over the country, and especially in places where there's seemingly, kind of mead deserts. And you're in Arkansas, and there's not a whole lot of meaderies in Arkansas. There's a couple of you out there, but not very many.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of home brewers who are experimenting with mead, but as far as licensed, permitted meaderies, yeah, there's just two of us here, and the closest one to our place in Paragould is south of St. Louis, a few miles. That's Four Brothers Meadery, and then the next closest one would be in Mississippi, and that's Queens Reward Meadery. So they're like 3 hour drives away from us.
Yeah, and to be fair, even that you have the fact that you have a couple meaderies even that close isn't nearly as deserty as I was thinking. I guess I didn't really look at it on a map. I always just look at it state by state, not relative to bordering cities in other states.
Yeah.
But that's really cool that at least you guys have that sort of relatively close friendships and friendly competition nearby.
Yeah, we've I mean, personally, I think we've got a great relationship with the other meaderies. I've just recently personally met the owners of Arkansas Meadery in Benton, Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
They've been wonderful. And honestly, Queens Reward Meadery in Tupelo, Mississippi, before we got our permit,
Hmm.
we visited with them, and they were very gracious with their time and kind of took us under their wing and shared a lot of good information about the process of getting permitted, and we just owe them a lot of gratitude for that.
Yeah, I've spoke with them in the past. There are some really
They
cool
are. They
cats.
are. They're very much like us. They're people who probably, you know, are at the age where they could be thinking about retirement, but they
Hmm.
took on the challenge of establishing a new business.
It's a fairly common trope in the mead world. There's lots of people that get to that. Are we going to retire? We would do something and just take that left turn on the on the game of life board and go to, no, we're not going to retirement. We're going to go open a meadery, and I think it's a really cool, unique way to to take that next step in your life's path.
Yeah. Well, this is a true story. If I can bore you with this, because we get asked all the time, how did you get into this? Or what made you decide to open up a tasting room
Absolutely.
and a commercial meadery? And this is a true story. My wife and I are both realtors. I've been a realtor for many years. We were making a living, weren't getting rich, but making a living. But I started making homemade wine a little over 30 years ago. It was a
Oh,
hobby that
wow.
just grew out of control. And so the basement of our house is full of homemade wine. And at one, we couldn't
Cool.
give enough of it away. We couldn't drink it all. We couldn't give it away. So my wife said one day, she said, "You've spent enough of our family fortune on this." And you know, we'd kind of gotten, at least some people would say that we were fairly good at it. She said, "You spent enough of our family fortune. It's time we got a permit and started selling stuff." So that's what led
There
us
you
down
go.
this road.
Okay, and from my bit of research I did, I see you guys opened back in, looks like December of 2021.
That's correct.
Man, that's a bold time to be opening a business. So assuming you were in the planning phases during all
Exactly.
the nonsense and whatnot, like how did that all? I always love hearing the COVID stories of how people fared. Like how did that all go about for you?
You know, I think we were more concerned, not necessarily with COVID, but we were more concerned about an election, a presidential election year, and what that might do to the economy. We were very concerned about that,
Sure.
whether it would make sense to invest in a business. And
When did you? Sorry if I can interject real quick. When did you initially apply for your first ABC license with? I'm assuming it was with the state before
yeah,
TTB.
boy, I tell you what, I got to reconstruct this in my mind. We bought our property
Oh,
in
okay.
January of 2021. That's a
Oh,
story in
okay.
itself, but we actually had already, I think, got the ABC's permit before that in 2020.
So yeah. So you guys were all. I
We're a
mean,
COVID business.
things were already all
Yeah.
chaotic. Yeah, I say things were everything was already going all chaotic when you guys were starting the process and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So I
No,
apologize for interrupting. Please
no,
continue.
that's all right. The property we bought, this wonderful property, it would have made more financial sense. It would have been far less risky to have leased a commercial, like restaurant type space for production, at least initially. And that's what we intended to do. And we were driving around looking for unoccupied restaurants and that kind of thing. What you got there?
Hmm.
That,
Oh, drinking a Ricky Spanish. I always just try to show what I'm drinking for some of my cool beer friends that are happen to show up for my
well,
mead events. So it's a nice triple IPA, something to relax,
sweet,
help me
sweet.
relax
You
the day.
flashed that, and I just assumed you were flashing it at me. So,
Oh, I
no, it's
apologize.
okay. But as we were driving around looking for an unoccupied restaurant in probably in December of 2020, we already had the ABC permit. We already had the LLCs, and we ran across
Yeah.
a 6.25 acre property on the edge of
Ooh,
town that was for sale by owner. Too expensive, honestly, but it checked off all the boxes of the
nice.
vision we had for what we wanted our place to look like, the vibe, the rural chill uh, aesthetics. And so
Yeah,
we took a big chance and actually purchased the property in January of 2021. And looking back now, it was a huge risk to invest that much. But looking back now, I don't
sure.
regret that at all. I think that's exactly the right decision we made.
Right on for the wife putting the thumb screws to you. You ended up making the right decision amongst all the turbulence, man. Hey, I'll drink to that, man.
Even
Congratulations to you, because a
a
lot of people
blind
did.
squirrel gets a nut every once in a while. So
I love it. I love it, man. My personal one is like the broken clock is at least right twice a day
yeah.
type of thing. But yeah, same thing, man. I love the goofy colloquialisms. So you end up opening, you find the pad or you find the property. What did you have to do to the existing building or buildings, or was it just raw property?
There was it, our building is very small. There's 1,000 square foot
Oh,
house
oh,
shop,
okay, yeah, that's
like a
pretty
shop
small.
house with a full kitchen with a full bath. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
that is our handicap, and we knew that going in. That was going to be our handicap, was going to be space. So what we did to that, it required a thorough renovation. We had structural issues, foundation issues.
Ooh,
We had termites.
yeah.
I've been a general contractor in the past, so I can do most of the
Oh,
labor. That
oh,
helped. Being a realtor helped greatly because I could do business while I was crawling around on my knees laying ceramic tile, and have a phone handy, and
yeah,
still conduct business and still have a stream of income while I was spending basically about 12 months renovating a building. Uh,
dude, count your W's where you can get them.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, it stole years of my life. I'm probably going to die younger because of the energy I burnt
Oh,
doing that. I'm
okay.
just kidding. I'm not really,
I,
but I know I sweated and I worked a lot, and but
yeah,
it was something I could do, and like I said, we were in a good spot being realtors. You don't have to necessarily go into an office and put a suit and tie on every day. I could wear clothes while I was digging in the
yeah,
backyard. And as long as you've got the phone in the hand, and since my wife is also a realtor, if I got calls from clients, I could pass on that realtor work to her, and vice versa. So
right.
we leaned on each other. So that's a lot of benefits that maybe not just everybody would have, and that
Oh yeah.
that helped us a lot. So there was a lot of renovation to do, and then we discovered and went through the University of Hard Knocks learning how to deal with the health department. So I can say that
Oh,
was, and at this point, we've got a great relationship with the health department, and we know
oh,
them
good.
by name, and they know us by name, and but not having done this before, never having done a
Hmm.
restaurant or a bar or a brewery or anything like that, we didn't know what
Yeah.
we were getting into, and we tried our best to educate ourselves. But when you don't know what you don't know, you don't even know the right questions to ask. So we
Right.
were delayed. We
If,
probably could have opened several months before we did if we didn't have so many hangups with the health department. So my
if I could stop you, if I could stop you real quick, that the only thing with the not any having visuals, like I can't see, I can't. It's hard to adjust visual cues. But one of the things that I always try to, when talking about people opening meaderies and stuff is, the different tribulations and trials that they had to go through in that process. One of the things that I think maybe you might be the first in the few years I've been doing this, or the only person who's mentioned the health department. Could you kind of elaborate further on that whole process and everything? Because I think that's something that a lot of people don't consider, but it's probably, like you said, it caused you your most amount of holdups and headaches. I'd love for you to be able to like go into that a little bit further.
Well, there were a number of hurdles that we had to get over with the health department, and a lot of it had to do. I'm not throwing them under the bus, but
No,
but
no, no,
but
not at all.
just to be honest, they didn't know what to do with us. First of all, they didn't even know what a meadery was, and we had to say, well, we're
Right.
like a winery, uh, and that helped a little bit, but of the multiple issues that we had to get through, and which were fairly difficult and required a lot of talking things out with officials at the health department in Little Rock. The biggest issue we
Yeah.
had was our little properties on a septic tank. Uh, so
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So
for a house, not for a
yeah,
business.
and it was a good full
Ooh.
size septic system with 1,000 gallon tank, and I think 400 feet of fill lines. So it was designed and permitted for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. You know, a family of 4 to
Okay.
6 should be no problem. All we were going to have is just
Okay.
one bathroom. We converted the full bath into a toilet, and then we've got the sink. Now we do not cook. We do charcuterie boards and bread boards, but we don't cook, so we don't have stuff going down the sink like a commercial kitchen would have. Uh, but
Right. There's no like a dishwasher and
yeah,
all that type of stuff.
and our the man who built our property had built it 15 years prior, and he had permitted it, the septic system. A professional had installed it, by all accounts, one of the best in the field, and it should have been fine. But the health department was very concerned about that, and one of their concerns was they had no idea, they had no reference point as to how much stress we would put on a 1,000 gallon septic tank with 400 feet of fill lines. And so yeah, they had no idea. And so they made us jump through hoops and spend money. They made us do a new perk test on the property, which had already been perked 15 years prior, and perked in our soil is great, according to the man who did the perk test. But, we
Yeah.
had to spend the money to have that done. We had a well on the property, which adds to the value of any property. We had no intention of using the well because of all the hoops that the TTB would make us
Oh, I
jump
can
through to use
imagine.
well water. They were going to make us add chlorine to it in order to approve the well. Well, I don't want to add chlorine to something that I'm going to then try to ferment, right? Makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah.
Stepping on their own feet, man. Yeah, it's stepping
So
on their
we
own feet.
have a rural water source out there that provides very good water, and we wanted to disconnect from the well and hook up to the rural water source and install a meter. There was no meter there. Well, they would not do that until the health
Gotcha.
department signed off. The health department would not sign off until we got our septic system reperked and all this stuff. And then they said we had to not only disconnect from our existing well, but we had to pour concrete,
Fill it
fill it
in.
in.
Oh,
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
Mm.
and it's all because I guess they cannot trust someone to not use it, and possibly your well water, which they cannot control the quality of, could possibly backflush into the rural water supply. And so, I mean, I understand the logic of it, but still, it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It hurt my feelings
Yeah.
greatly the day that I had to pour concrete into our well. But I had to jump through all those
Dude.
hoops, and thousands of dollars spent just
Yeah.
for the privilege of spending some more thousands of dollars getting a water meter from the rural water department. And fortunately, the water lines were on our side of the highway,
Yeah.
and then the lines run back to the
Of
property.
course.
So that's a long answer
Of
to your
course.
question about the health department. Like I said, I
No,
don't I
I
don't
love it.
begrudge them, but be aware that cost us several $1,000s we didn't expect to spend, and it also cost
Yeah.
us, I think, at least 3 months that we could have been open earlier.
No.
So
Yeah. No. I try to bring up conversations like this just as like a generic open discussion. I don't ever have any malice or anything like that intention. I just want to be able to give um, a lot of there's a lot of people that follow my page that are potential commercial meadery or potential commercial mead makers and stuff like that, and I want to give them as many different angles and things to think about when they're getting ready to open. And that's, like I said, one thing that I hadn't really come across um, uh, in many conversations, if any, before. Like I was saying, is people having to deal with the health department. We had a question here. Um, from James. He's up with Schramm's Mead. He says, "Are you guys still on septic, and how do you deal with? Do you use CIP systems on your tanks, and what do you guys do with like all the wastewater? Like, what was the outcome of all that situation? I guess
Yeah.
is kind
Yeah.
of I'm curious as well."
Well, the answer is that yes, we're still on the septic system. It is working fine. None of us knew the demand we'd put on it. We didn't know the traffic we would have, how many times the toilet would flush. But at this point, there has been no problem with it. We do have expansion
Okay.
plans, and when we expand, we're going to have to install a commercial septic system. There is city sewer across the road from us. We're actually in the county, but across the highway from us is
Okay.
the city of Paragould, and there is a sewer system across the highway. We've checked into connecting with that. That's going to be cost prohibitive. We can install a
Oh,
commercial
I'm sure.
septic system for a larger building for far less money. And and my cousin actually installs
Yeah.
those. So there you go. To the
Hey,
Shrams,
yeah.
by the way, I love your mead and love the book too. I've got the book. Uh, but to the Shrams, as far as what do we do, yes, we do use CIPs on our bright tanks. Our main fermenters have they're the adjustable lid, open top fermenters. So we don't use
Mm.
CIP on those, but our larger bright tanks are CIPs, and we've got some smaller fermenters that have CIPs. We use those. We
Okay.
drain them into 5-gallon buckets, and we carry those outside, and we have drainage areas where we drain them. So we've actually talked to the
Okay.
health department about that and made them aware we'd do that. We dump yeast outside on the regular basis. I have a 1-acre pond full of catfish,
Oh,
and we also have deer on the property. We have all kinds of wildlife. It's a beautiful place, but it's fun. I will take the
yeah.
spent yeast. Also, we brew beer. We make braggots, and so we'll take the spent grain and we'll
Oh,
take those, and I'll dump those right in the edge of the water to where some of it's exposed and some of it's in there. And it's fun seeing the
yeah.
turtles, the deer, and the catfish fight over the yeast and the spent barley. So anyway,
Yeah.
our fish are very fat. Uh, so, so that's what we do.
Nice. I
We
like it.
we we actually dump now stuff that has chemicals in
Okay.
it. We don't do that. It goes into the septic tank.
Sure.
So
Gotcha. Now that's a very unique thing that you brought up there, kind of, nonchalantly. It's like, oh yeah, we also have a brewing license, by the way. It's like, hey, that's not even possible for tons of people in most states. So we're gonna have to back that up a skosh, if you don't mind. So you guys are a brewery, or hold at least a brewery license as well as a
no,
meadery license, or how
no,
does
we
that all work?
operate under a small farm winery permit. We don't have a brewer's permit, but
Okay.
my understanding, and I've talked with our state ABC officials about this, is that they allow
Yeah.
us to brew beer, and everything we do is basically at least 50% honey. Okay, but we do brew
Okay.
some braggots. We keep them on tap. Uh, we have at any given moment 5 to 6 products on tap. Most of the
Okay.
time, no more than 2 of those will be braggots that have grain. Uh,
Gotcha.
they make us pay tax on it as if it were wine, which is a higher tax rate. So they don't allow us. They don't. We don't get the privilege of paying the smaller excise tax on beer because
Sure.
being a lower alcohol quantity. So they don't have
Right.
a problem with it. We're paying tax on it like it was wine, which
Yeah.
is not quite so good, but you know our customers love it. We're still
Yeah.
making money, so it's okay.
One of the things I used to hold a distributor's license, a wholesaler's license in Arizona, for a couple years. And one of the things I was really grateful for when dealing with all these things is all their taxes was solely by percentage. It was, you fall into this percentage is this rate, this percentage is this rate, this percentage is this rate. Didn't matter if it was wine, beer, cider, mead, kombucha, hard, soda pop. It was all the same if it was in those ranges, which was really
Well,
convenient.
our permit requires us to stay under 21%. We can't go above 21%.
Oh,
And we have to, when I fill out a report at the end of every month, we have to list how much we've made. And the report says wine, it doesn't say mead, but then how much light wine. That's the way Arkansas does it. And so I list all the beers,
okay.
everything that's a session mead, and I'm loose with the definition of session because we've got a braggot we call Hadrian's Braggot that's a coffee stout that's 9%. So
Yeah.
we call that a session. I know that's not the technical definition of a session mead, but anything like that goes under what they call light wine. And so
Okay.
we have to tell them how much of that we make, but once again, it's the same excise tax as wine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to lead a push for I've been considering and leaning towards leading a push to get away from using the term session meads and using, calling them, what's the hydromels? What's the term for the low ABV mead per BJCP
Well,
regulations? It's now escaping me because I'm totally talking about it and everything. But I want to stop using sessions and use basically like hydromels and use like the mead appropriate terms.
yeah, I don't know what the term is other than hydromel, but I had heard that hydromels could be something like very low, like 3%.
Yeah. Right, yeah, yeah. So that's so the hydromel refers to the ABV, but then there was something else, but yeah, like hydromel is basically I want to try to get that term back into use versus like the sessionable meads, and like I said, I'm
I need to read.
totally off my game today.
I need
I have to
to
apologize.
reread the complete mead maker then. So
There we go. Yeah, we'll go back. We'll go with that. I like that idea. Um, so so to kind of get back to where we had detoured to the health inspector conversation and the health department conversation, which again, not a slam on them. I just like to give everybody as much information as possible. So you finally make it. It comes December 2021 or approaching December 21. Like what's going on then? You guys have the property. You've had the building made, outfitted to all your needs and everything like that. So what's those last few weeks like leading up to that opening?
well, it's man, if I look back and remember leading up to the opening. Well, doing a lot of decorating,
Sure.
doing mostly cosmetic stuff. We started as far as equipment. We started with I mean, folks can laugh at this. We started very small. We started with 3 Brewtech 1-barrel fermenters, a 1-barrel Brewtech bright tank, and other than carboys, that was our capacity right there. That's what we started with. So
Uh,
very small. So that and we had a small. I had a homemade glycol system that I built, which was ugly as homemade soap, but by gosh, it worked good and still works. But I've brought it home. So we started with
nice.
that, but the last few weeks was probably, I would say, 90% cosmetic work.
Okay.
Building. I mean, I built everything in this place. If you ever see pictures of it, the chandelier,
Yeah.
a honeycomb chandelier, I built that. The shelving, the merchandise shelving, I built. This is another health department
All that.
thing that I had to go back and forth. We only have 1,000 square
Okay.
foot building. Uh, some of that's occupied by the full kitchen, by the bath, and by storage in the back. So the front part of the building where the tasting room is I believe 28 by 24. Okay. We
Okay.
partitioned off of that. I actually make all of our product in a 28-foot deep by 8-foot wide section of that front room. And
Yeah.
since we had in the plans to build a new building, uh, a
Yeah.
larger building for production. This building we're in is always going to be the tasting room, but we're going to build a larger production room in the future. Since we had intended that, and I laid tile floors, they're custom tile floors with a honeycomb motif. Uh, since we did that, I didn't want to put a partition in the floor and tile around it, and then when I moved the
Okay.
production out of there, have evidence of the
A big.
walls. So what I wanted to do is put a temporary
Yeah.
partition in. So this, you asked, what were we doing the last few weeks? Well, we bought some antique doors and windows, glass French doors and antique windows of antique houses, and built these movable partitions that are freestanding, but they're not mounted in the floor. And I had to get the health
Okay.
department to sign off on that. So basically, it partitions off the production room, which is 8 foot wide, with the rest of the tasting room. And if you ever see a picture of our interior, you'll see those immediately. And the health department was concerned about that. Obviously, you can see
In
inside.
what regard?
Well, they're concerned about the glass.
What?
They were concerned, number one, about can they be, if someone bumps into them, will they tip over? Are they a hazard that way? If someone trips, will they knock them over? I made
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
bases on them heavy enough that you cannot knock them over unless I can push them over intentionally, but if a person stumbles and falls against even a very large person, they're not going to knock them over. I had to convince the health
Right.
department of
So.
that. Yeah. And the other thing they were concerned about is broken glass in the equipment. I understand that.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm scrolling.
what I had to convince.
I'm scrolling through your Instagram background, trying to find a picture of
Okay.
them to show people.
Well, you'll find it if you look.
But
But anyway, what I had to tell them was all of our fermenters are on the outside wall, and they're not on the glass partition. And
gotcha.
they were okay with that.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I hadn't thought of somebody doing that sort of glass partition. Um, I've seen obviously permanent walls,
Yeah.
built in there. I was actually curious if they were going to be like concerned about like the material that they were made out of, because I know the health department gets really weird about different material. Like there's no wood to be allowed in
Yeah.
certain types of spaces with like bottling lines and stuff like that. So I was just curious that. Okay, so here's a picture. Let's see if this isn't what you're talking about back here.
Have you purchased anything from me this year?
Uh-oh.
Or should
Oh, no. Oh, it's a reel. Oh, my mistake. Of course it's a reel, so it's not in the picture now that I got that. But so it basically looks like a giant like window with like lattice work in it.
Yeah.
Is that about what I'm picking up? Yeah, okay.
Some
So
great big windows out of some old antique, big old Victorian houses and some French doors. Those windows and doors are over 100 years old.
yeah, so it's basically that like if people can see it back there in that center
Yeah.
picture there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, and they eventually bought off on that and were cool with it because, like you said, it's
Yeah.
sturdy enough and it's in place and it
It wasn't a slam
doesn't
dunk.
fall subject to a drunkard falling into
Yeah,
it.
it took some, like Ricky Ricardo would say, it took some splaining. Uh, but they finally signed off on it.
Yes,
But
huge Lucy fan.
I laid the tile floor in there, and my wife designs everything, and then she says you need to build this, and it sounds so easy. The floor,
I love it.
the floor is tile, and I'm 60 years. I'm about to turn 61 here in a week,
Ooh.
and so I crawled around on my
Congratulations.
knees
Happy birthday.
and laid the tile, a custom, fairly complicated custom tile job in here, and I could not stand the thought of the tile floor being tore up or a strip where the floor plate, of a partition would be. I just couldn't stand the thought of it. I didn't want to mess my pretty floor up. So anyway, that's the whole reason why I wanted a movable partition, and so people can see in.
Yeah.
Now, our production room isn't really big enough to justify what you would call a tour. There's nothing really to tour. I mean, you can stand and look and see the whole thing. And obviously, we've got a lot more equipment in there now, and we've gone up in size twice, but they can see inside there, and we can move those out, and there'll be no harm done to the ceiling or the floor.
Gotcha. Yeah, as somebody who's done very minor tile work in my own, my own house and stuff like that, I did my bathroom tile to shower and everything. Yeah, I can completely understand on like the most minute scale compared to somebody like you. You put in your tile, that's a little piece of you that goes into all that. That doesn't feel good to have to watch it come, get busted up or chipped or any of that stuff. Man, I have a total new appreciation for anybody who does
My
tile. So
wife,
cheers
my
to that,
wife would
brother.
tell you that she heard profanity. That she learned new profanity watching me lay that floor.
Look, oh yeah, like construction, car, working on your car and laying tile. Those are the three times when cursing is acceptable and you get the
There you go.
pass. So you open in 21. How did grand opening go? Did you guys have like a really well received reception in the community? Had you done any like marketing or any like markets or how did you guys really pull together and make your grand opening a success? Or
Well,
was it even a success?
it was a success. We were overwhelmed. We've
Yes.
never done this before. We didn't know what to expect. But we opened the week
Yeah.
before Christmas. Well, there couldn't be a better week to open. The week because
No
everybody.
kidding.
Yeah, everybody's spending money, and they're looking for unique gifts. So we know a lot of people in the community. Again, realtors. We've been here a long time. We've got a lot, a real good network of friends and people. Professional.
Awesome.
We had a quiet opening or a silent opening. Before we were officially open to the
Soft
public.
opening.
So, there you go. That's the word. Soft opening, where we invited. I told you we're realtors, so we invited realtors, bankers, professional people that we rub shoulders with and have worked with, and in
Ah,
18 years of doing this, there's a lot of those folks. So they came
yeah.
the week before we opened. That was a great success. They talked it up. We didn't have to prod. We did not do a tremendous amount of social media marketing beforehand, before we got the permit at least,
Hmm.
because
Sure.
we didn't want to. I don't know. We didn't want to.
Step on any toe, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, there was some people in the community, a small number of people that were kind of pushing back about this and didn't want it to happen. So we were aware of that. They were very much in the
Oh,
minority.
did you guys have to put one of them fluorescent signs outside on the property that said, "Hey, we're opening an alcohol-related business there," and have some sort of like county meeting or city meeting or something like that?
Well,
I'm assuming.
well, we didn't have to do that with the county, but
Oh,
we did have to put a sign out. It didn't have to be flashing or electrified,
like
but
a.
we
Oh,
did
okay.
have to put
Okay.
a sign out, permit applied for, and when we did, there were some people that wrote in and opposed it, and so we had to jump through various hoops with the ABC basically to get through and demonstrate that we weren't going to be a house of ill repute. We weren't going to be doing child trafficking, drugs, gambling, or prostitution, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People that were arguing against
Okay.
us were talking about there was going to be knife fights out in the street at 1 a.m, and drunks driving through their lawns and running their kids' bicycles over and that kind of stuff. And we 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 did a lot of research, and we pulled up every
Yeah.
police report of a winery with a tasting room, because there was not a meadery with a tasting room in Arkansas. We pulled up every police report over 12 months of every winery in the state of Arkansas that has a tasting room, and took that
Sure.
and showed them just
Yeah.
what a bunch of hellraisers that we were likely to be. And a lot of times, a lot of
Right.
times when we called the chief of police, or the county sheriff of a municipality where they had a winery with a tasting room and said, how many times, under the
Yeah.
Freedom of Information Act, how many times have you been called out to
Yeah.
such and such a location at the such and such winery? More than once,
Yeah.
the chief of police said, we got a winery here? Where's that at? So
I love it.
the opposition made us jump through all those hoops. So we were kind of quiet leading up to the opening, but we had the soft opening and then the
Gotcha.
official opening the week before Christmas. And
Okay.
honestly, we did about 3 times as much business as we hoped for. So,
Okay. So James over at Shrams is asking again, why did you name the meadery Juniper Tree? I'm also curious about that. And then what's your least favorite about thing about your AP 362 bottle
my
labeler?
least favorite thing about it, was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, Juniper Tree
Because
Meadery.
everybody
First of
uses
all,
it.
Juniper
Yeah.
Tree Meadery. My wife and I are Christians. I was a pastor for 30 years. Okay, we pointed that
Okay.
out to the opposition who thought that we were, sent by Satan to open this place. And the juniper tree has spiritual significance not only with Christians and people who believe the Bible, but also in some of the pagan religions as the tree of life. Elijah the prophet was fed by the raven under the juniper tree. So there's spiritual
Gotcha.
significance of that. And honestly, it was my wife, she's the one I told you that said, you spent enough of our family fortune, it's time that we get a permit and you
Yep.
sell this stuff.
Yep.
And I said, okay. And she said, under one condition, it's got to be called Juniper Tree Meadery. So it was her idea, but it's based on
Cool.
spiritual ideas of provision and blessing and God caring and taking care of us. So that's where that,
Well, that's
yeah,
really
that's where
cool.
that came from. True enough. And
Yeah.
oh, and this is the other thing. When we were driving around looking for a place to rent or lease, and we saw this 6-acre place for sale by owner just accidentally. It has
There's
fairly
juniper trees.
significant pasture. It has the biggest juniper tree out in the middle of the pasture, standing all alone. The biggest juniper tree I've ever seen. So when we saw
Hey, man,
that,
if that's not a
oh yeah, she
sign,
said, "I don't care what it costs. We're going to buy the place." She didn't really say that, but
that's
we both
awesome.
thought that. Okay, the labeler. Now, how in heaven's name do you know that we got an AP 362?
James is he just knows these things. I'll tell you what, I've been had many conversations with James. He's a smart, very, very intelligent dude. He's be able to sense these
Well,
things. It's his meaty sense. Like Spider-Man has a spidey sense, James has a
I'm
meaty
not
sense.
going to sleep tonight because unless I know how he knows that I've got an AP 362. My least favorite thing.
He's not giving away
Okay,
his secrets.
there's only 2 things. I guess the one thing that aggravates me is the every now and then when I click the foot pedal, all of our bottles have a front and a back label, so we've got it set up.
Sure, it's got
Yeah,
that two segment. Yep.
segments, and every now and then, if you click the button, it'll shoot out 3. Uh, I don't know why. If someone would explain that to me, there's something I could correct. But I don't know why. One thing I do know is that if I don't keep it clean, keep the adhesive off, every time I do a labeling job, which, by the way, I labeled about 1,500 bottles in the last week, uh, and it's our Eclipse edition. And but if I don't, between labeling, if I don't clean the adhesive off of the tear tab that
Oh my
if I
gosh.
don't do that, it will actually tear the sides of the labels. And so anybody that's used one of those probably knows the same thing. So that's not really a complaint. That's just a user notification. You got to keep
More of an
the thing clean for it to work right. But I don't know why
no.
every now and then it'll shoot out 3 labels instead of 2. So
Excuse me. Unfortunately, I have not. Fortunate, I guess, or unfortunate, I'm not quite sure. I've never used one of those. I work in a commercial vinegar manufacturing facility right now, and we've got all sorts of labelers of different varieties for different sized bottles and everything like that. And I'll tell you what, the ones that have the 2-piece labels are always the ones that give you the headache. I don't think it's a matter of maybe just this machine. I think anytime you get that where you have to have that specific label delay or that
Yeah.
indexing delay between the two labels and let it reset and everything, you can't get the eye quite right. You can't get the feed quite right. There's always some sort of headache going
Yeah.
on.
Well, there's some things that I just gave up on. Like, ideally, you'd love to put a bottle that has two labels. It's also got the bottle's got seams going down 180 degrees from each other. And
Right.
ideally,
Oh,
you'd like to
yes.
center the label in between the two seams. And so
Bro.
finding out exactly when that tumbler is, turning, how to drop the bottle
Yeah.
in and when to click the button, I gave up on that. The
Yes.
labels just work where the
Oh,
labels
man.
fall. So whenever I see one and it straddles the two seams on the bottle, I say, yes, I got it. And then all the other ones I just ignore.
I'll go you one further. So we're bottling stuff that has a front label, a back label, and then also has a neck band
Okay.
label. So when they're coming off, so we have a machine that does. We do the plastic cork with the plastic cap with the synthetic cork, and we have a machine that punches them down, and then the capsule goes over top of it. So I have to go through as they're coming down. This thing is going how many bottles a minute? I have to reach in there and clock after the capsule comes down and the heat sealer comes down, adjust it to a certain position on the belt so when it labels around that the gold little flag that sticks out, so when you peel it, is perfectly in line with the barcode on the back of the label.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's moving. It's moving while you're doing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have all of about 2 3/4 seconds to reach in there real quick and like kind of clock, and then we produce for multiple different types of different labels, different products. So each one has its own different. Okay, this one clocks at 6 o'clock, which is facing to you. This one clocks at 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so bananas.
I,
It's so bananas.
I,
So I can imagine just the headaches of having to deal with one
I
seam.
feel your pain.
Well, I appreciate that. um, so you finally get open come December 21, everything's going. You had everything going. Now you've got to continue to fill people's pallets, to fill their glasses with stuff. How do you choose? Did you back it up? Did you have a book of recipes you were going to choose from to fulfill your commercial stable, so to speak, or how did you pick which recipes? How did all that go about? So you knew you were going to have enough product to keep
Yeah.
yourself in business. How did all that go about?
Well, I can say this. I mean, we've been influenced by stuff we've seen and read as far as labels, formulas go, but I think we're probably about
Mm-hmm.
as unique as anybody. Uh, we started off. We may have had 6 labels when we started off, and we started off with at least one session mead that I had made at the house, and when I
Mm-hmm.
made it, I knew it was very good, and that's turned out to be our flagship product. Um, so we started out with about, I think, 6 labels, if I remember right. We actually, over the
Okay.
first year, I developed a lot of the rest of our product line as we went on the fly. Um,
Which I'm looking at seems to be about you on your website. You have about 12 stills and a handful of carbonateds.
yeah, and there's going to be a couple of still meads that are not on the website. Well,
Oh,
not under the menu,
okay.
not on the menu at least. The blackout,
Yeah.
that's our Eclipse special that I've been out distributing that today. Then we've got another one that was
Yes.
limited edition for the fall called Autumn Moon. I like that about as much
Okay.
as anything I've ever made, and we think we're going to
Ooh.
make that one. We think we're going to make that one permanent.
Okay.
We'll have to make another batch of it because we just made a small batch. Uh,
Yeah.
the so there's probably 13 or 14 still labels all together. That, like I said, there's probably a couple that are not on the website. The session mead, the stuff that's on tap, that's the stuff that I turn over on a regular basis, and I really get to scratch my my itch to create.
Creative itch.
Yeah, because it doesn't
Yes.
take as long to make them. We make those in smaller batches. There's less risk involved because we're not purchasing bottles. I mean, we sell stuff out the door in growlers, but any of those products can go in a growler, so we don't have to invest in labels. So it's just less trouble. It's a quicker turnaround. So we have about 3 products on tap that stay on tap year round. And then
Cool.
there's another 3 or 4 that we're constantly rotating with seasonals and just new ideas that we're trying. I'll give you for instance, we are going to be doing on the Eclipse weekend our version of a black and tan beer. For those who are familiar with the black and tan, with Bass Pale Ale on the bottom and Guinness Extra Stout on top. We're going to do the same thing with mead. So anyway, I've actually been experimenting with that. So the one that'll be on top will be a blueberry, and it'll be fairly dry and lighter. And we've already tried this. And the one on bottom will be one we've sold in the past called Lemon Drop, which will be sweeter and heavier. And so that'll be our. It won't be quite as difference in color as a Bass Pale Ale and again a stout, but it'll still give the the representation of an eclipse, the dark moon covering the shiny sun. So
now, and now call it my own ignorance. I've only been home mead making for a little over, I guess, a year and a half now, and I don't have maybe about 15 meads under my belt. The drier one is resting, floating on top of the other one because of the gravity of it, and it'll rest on top of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. I love when my brain actually works in the correct fashion.
Yeah. And what we're hoping is that it'll be good to drink all together because the blueberry is a little bit dry by itself, and the lemon drop will be a little bit sweet by itself. And if someone drinks them and stirs them up, they'll look at them. They'll look at them and see how pretty it is, and then stir it up and drink it, and it'll be just the right sweetness. So if we accomplish that, it'll be a success.
And I'm here for that. And that's what I really like about that, and I think it's kind of unique, is if you were to tell me that combination of blueberry mead and a lemon drop mead, my personal instant thought would be the blueberry was going to be the one that was the sweeter of the two, and the lemon drop would be kind of the more delicate, subtle of the two. But and this is the complete opposite, a nice dry blueberry mead floating on top of a nice candy sweet, my term, lemon drop mead. That sounds absolutely wonderful.
Well, it's the colors kind of have to be that way to represent the eclipse, with the and also the black and tan, so or whatever it's called. So.
Whatever you want to call. I mean, I'm so unfamiliar with eclipse terms, but I believe this is the bottle you're talking about here. It's called Blackout. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's our eclipse edition, and we're in the path of totality. We are prime viewing territory here. Our meadery is like right in the middle of it. They are telling us, our Chamber of Commerce is telling us to prepare for potentially, if not hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people coming. I'm certainly millions in the entire state of Arkansas, but many times over hundreds of thousands just in Northeast Arkansas. So we've opened up our acreage to primitive camping. We'll have people there camping around the pond. We've got. We're not normally open on Monday or Sunday, but we're going to be open Sunday and Monday. We've got a full weekend. We've got live bands. We're going to show outdoor movies. We're trying to decide on which cataclysmic end of the world movie would be appropriate to show. So if you got any ideas on that, let me know. We've got.
I saw that on your Facebook or your Instagram post, I was talking to my wife. We need to post a movie. So I'm definitely thinking that.
Yeah.
I got you. Does it need to be family friendly? That was my only question.
Well, we've shown PG stuff, but we are a family type place, so I mean we wouldn't show anything
Okay.
more. I wouldn't
Okay.
want to burn anybody's
That
ears. Yeah,
that was my big question. We're not going for like a big like space
something
action type movie,
like
but
that.
something.
Yeah,
Okay, I
something like
got you.
that.
Okay, I got you.
It can be scary,
Okay,
but we don't want to drop
go
f bombs.
too far out
Exactly.
there. I no, I'm picking up what you're laying down, brother. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Um, so the blackout event, that's pretty cool. And these are, I have to ask just real quick. These are 750 bottles. Everything you do, right?
Yes.
How, uh, where did you come up on those black frosted bottles? Did you buy them like that, or did you buy them clear and have them frosted yourself? Because I know black frosted bottles are ridiculously hard to
They're
come across.
ridiculously expensive. It wasn't.
That
Yeah. Now we got them at Waterloo. Okay, and we looked
oh, okay,
we looked all over for them, and they're the quality of the bottle is not as high a quality as what we normally use. They're lighter weight. They're not punted. They are a cork
yeah,
finish, but yeah, they do come frosted with a flat matte black. But
okay.
they were
They're a cool looking bottle.
yeah, we bought 125 cases. I think they sent us 126 cases. I don't know if they counted wrong or they were just being friendly, but
The baker's dozen of cases.
yeah, the baker's dozen of cases. So anyway, they look cool,
I
and
like that.
we've got so many. Well, it's been universal. The comments have been, "Love that bottle, love that graphic, love." Everybody
Hmm.
loves it, and then we've got
All of
posters and
it.
signage for the package stores that carry this, and it's
Oh,
just
I
been
love it.
universally well received. Love the bottle, love the bottle. So the
Yeah.
drink's not bad.
So we've got a and the drink's
Yeah.
not bad. You've got one comment here from we got a comment here from Wicked Way Mead out of
Okay.
Japan, saying they're recommending Darkness 2002. It's an eclipse themed film, and I believe he is going to suggest that in accordance to your recommendation. So yeah, that guy makes some phenomenal meads. He's got a wild setup there. I highly suggest anybody go follow Wicked Way Meads because he's a pretty cool dude and got some phenomenal setup there. So yeah, that's a legit
Well,
suggestion there. Darkness Eclipse themed film from 2002.
well, I don't know the way to say thank you in Japanese, but thank you.
Yeah, my Japanese is absolutely terrible as well, so I don't even want to try to pretend to know what we're saying there. But that's really cool with the labels, and I'm glad it's really well received. And the fact that you guys are going to be in the, I believe the term is the path of totality.
The path of totality. Yeah, where it'll go completely
That's
dark for several minutes.
and that is freaking awesome, and that's coming up here pretty soon, isn't it? No, it's in
April
April.
8th. It will be, I think, 3 weeks from Monday. So April 8th. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Oh, I should have known. I was as much Sticks as my dad loves, and I listen to Domo Arigato is the
Okay.
formal
Yeah.
thing. No kidding, man. All right, cool. Thank you, Stephen. He's one of my regular followers and viewers. That guy's amazing. So thank you for clicking that in there. So you guys have like a whole party and eclipse everything planned. And one of the things that I'd seen when I was going through there, you had mentioned previously you guys are a Christian organization, or you guys are Christians, but you got I don't when I'm going through, you guys seem to you celebrate all the holidays. I see solstice notices, I see Christmas things, I see you guys seem to be pretty inclusive with all of your everything you guys have going on there. There's no real it's everybody's welcome at Juniper Tree.
Well, I would say that. Yeah, we're not
Well, I hope so.
uptight. We're not uptight, and honestly, we did not know that there were as many pagans and Wiccans
Oh,
in Northeast Arkansas until we opened up a meadery. And then some of them still come around, and some of them we've got like for sale in our meadery. We've got these hand towels that say "I love Jesus, but I drink a little." Uh, that's kind of a clue, you know. And so a lot of people see that and they like that. Well, it's probably made some of our initial clientele uncomfortable. We do a lot of we do a lot of herbal. A lot of our still meads are herbal. Our oldest daughter is a licensed herbalist, and so we've got we use some ingredients, you know, that might be like a dog whistle to Wiccans or pagans. It's not intentional. It's just we think they're cool ingredients and they make great mead. I've read a lot of the books that talk about ancient, you know, recipes and ingredients and herbs and stuff, and we're just really into that. So we accept our clientele, and they're very diverse. We have we're not going to sit in and participate, but we've had people wanting to read in the tasting room, wanting to read someone's I don't even know how you say it, but a spiritualist thing going on. But we've also had churches that have done their weekly Bible studies on our deck. we've had 25 or 30 people out there with Bibles. So
that's awesome.
We're not evangelistic in that sense, but we are who we are, and we don't hide it. And we don't. We're not shutting anybody out. So if they can,
I don't think there's any better way to. I don't think there's any better way to follow the word of Jesus than just open your arms, open your arms, open your heart, and open your doors.
Well, there you go.
Hey, man. So anybody coming to Juniper Tree, what's one thing we haven't covered that you'd really like them to know about Juniper Tree Meadery?
Well, I should be retired.
Please help me get to that point eventually. Buy my mead.
I don't know if I'm ever going to get to retire. So what? Well, I would just say this: we've probably once again, I'm fixing to turn 61. We've been doing this. We're in our third year now. So, we're less than 3 years in.
Right.
I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of interesting things in my life. My wife and I, we've been married 40 years. I've been a pastor. I've been a biologist. I've worked for the National Park Service. I've raced motorcycles. I've raced snowmobiles for the people up in Michigan to know. But I have more passion for this, and it's not even close. There's not even a second place that's anywhere close. I have more passion and enjoyment and fulfillment out of doing this than anything we've done. It's a labor of love. I've worked myself silly, but I love every second of it. So I don't know if that telling them about Juniper, that tells more about us than it does about Juniper Tree Meadery, but it's basically a reflection of who we are as people.
I was going to say, but aren't you guys Juniper Tree Meadery, and Juniper Tree Meadery is you? I mean, it would, Juniper Tree doesn't, from the interactions that we've just had this evening, it doesn't seem that the meadery would be the same if you guys weren't the ones running. If you sold it to somebody else, it wouldn't have that same heart and soul, wouldn't have that same je ne sais quoi that you guys have put into it and made it is what it is. It would become something, less than the sum of its parts.
I'm just going to say thank you for saying
You're
that.
Biased,
because I'm not going to say it, because if it comes out of my mouth, it sounds arrogant. But thank you for saying that. And honestly, there's probably a lot of truth in that.
Well, good. I mean, and that's the way it should be. Like, I mean, as many mead makers as there are across the vast spectrum between entry-level homebrewers to, legendary commercial mead makers and everything in between. It's everybody has a place and everybody has a uniqueness that makes them a little bit different from everybody else. And that's what I love about the mead community, and where I'm continuing to find my passion in it is it's such a small community that you can really get to know the different people, the different entities, however you want to look at it, and you can start to see the individual stamps, their individual personalities that they put on their brand and everything like that. Now, while it might not be your favorite, there's certainly people out there that make like Shrams that make those like big, heavy, full body dessert style meads and whatnot. And then there's people that are complete opposite and make the champagne style dry meads, and that's all they do. There's a place for everybody. You need you need everybody holds your hand, or what's the Beatles song, Let Me Hold Your Hand, as much as you need like the Ozzy Osbournes. You need both ends of the spectrum to make things exist coherently and harmoniously in the middle. And the fact that you guys have found, your place to fit in the world, it makes my heart sing, and I'm glad for you and happy for you guys. That's such an amazing thing.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So, you guys, unfortunately, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm hoping I am. You guys are not on Vino Shipper?
You're correct. Yeah, we're not.
Okay, unfortunately, these guys are not on Vino Shipper, so I can't send people to your Vino Shipper account. But anybody who's traveling through Arkansas, please try to make your trip shift that way to get to these guys over there. Like I said, a couple hours from Four Brothers, a couple hours from Queen's Reward. You can make that happen if you do your math and pinch your pennies and set your routes and everything like that. You give these guys some support over there. They would love to, just into their third year of business. I'm sure they could use the support.
And if you do come by, tell us that you saw the podcast here. So anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you stop in there, tell them you saw them on TK and Drinks. They'll give you a high five and a hug and talk all sorts of cool mead stories and stuff with you, because Lynn and DeAndre are those type of people. So I put that out there. Again, only having met you for an hour and talked to you, I get a really good feeling and vibe. And trust me, if I ever come through Arkansas, it's going to be definitely a main spot that I'm going to stop.
Oh, I hope so. I'd love to. We'll treat you like royalty.
Oh, I get that vibe already. And one thing, if we can, before I send you on my way tonight, there's a website called Harvest Host. They let you. We live full time. My family and I live full time in an RV, and we travel the country and whatnot. And you can join up as a winery, brewery, a farm, and all these different types of things. And people that have RVs and vans and whatnot can come through, and they stay on your property, and they, by being a part of the thing, they, kind of agree to spend a certain amount on your products for staying there. You don't have to have hookups. You don't have to have everything, anything like that. But, give it a look. I think you guys could really expand your business by having travelers come through there. They leave reviews all the time. It's a really poppin' website. I highly suggest you check it out.
Thank you. It's been suggested before, and it's shame on us. Shame on us because we haven't acted on it, because we had actually said we were going to do it, and everything that happens to get your mind off.
Life happens.
Yeah, life happens.
Put it that way.
So anyway, thank you for reminding me. We do need to do that, and we've got an ideal spot for it.
Oh yeah. Excellent. Yeah, as a personal user of that app, man, I love when I can get to wineries and meaderies and breweries and check out those different things. So I know you guys would be very, very well received on that app. So thank you very much, Lynn and Miss DeAndre down in the comments for joining in today. I appreciate you guys very much. Have a phenomenal evening. And like I said, when I make it through Arkansas, I will be sure to hit you guys up and stop by.
Very good. I appreciate very much the time. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. It means the most to me when people say that. So have a great rest of your night, and we'll be in contact.
Okay. God bless.
All right, everybody. That was Mr. Lynn over at Juniper Tree Meadery there in Herigord? I cannot ever. I'm terrible with names. Juniper Tree Meadery in Arkansas. Go look them up. The name is there on the website. Oh, I got him pulled up right here before I want to get it right because he deserves that much at least. And it's not on their Instagram page, but Juniper Tree Paragould. There it is. Paragould, Arkansas. Visit Juniper Tree Meadery. They are welcoming to everybody. You come in through there, they're going to set you up with some great meads, and they're going to set you up with a phenomenal, safe place to hang out, be yourself, be your mead self, regardless of anything. Appreciate everybody in the live chat coming through. Tony, love your comments. James, appreciate you. All the Juniper Tree followers, I see you guys all in the comments. Thank you guys so much for popping in. Without you guys, this whole thing doesn't work. So next week, I believe we have coming up. I don't have my calendar in front of me, of course, but if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see who's coming up next week. I believe it's Current C. The on the 20th, Current C. They are a current supplier, a current farm. I'm not exactly 100% sure where they're located. I believe they have told me before. But so any mead makers out there looking for currants, please get on this. Next week, we're going to be on with Current Farm and Current Suppliers, Currency. Dying to see how Michigan. Thank you, Steve. So my unofficial co-host, Stephen Clifford. Anybody who's not following him, please click Stephen.Clifford.343. That guy, my unofficial co-host. I love that cat. So anyway, yeah, Currency out of Michigan. They do bulk. They do small volume sales. They do fruit. They do juice. They do dehydrated. Possibly even what's the other one? Not dehydrated, but like they do for the space people. The I can't remember what it's called, but I'm here for it. So be on point for Currency next week. And thank you all so much for being here tonight. I love you guys so much. Have a phenomenal evening. Peace.